So, my name's Marisa. I am turning 26. That's gonna be fun. My older brother, his name is Jace, Robert Jace. He committed suicide on August 20th. And it pretty much destroyed my world. We are 2 years apart, and I have now officially become the older sibling. I never thought that would ever happen, and it has. He was a Marine. He wasn't very good at school, and that was the one thing that he was so proud about, was that he became a Marine. I have very much mixed emotions about the Corps, but I know my brother was happy. My brother hung himself, so that was kind of something that lately has been really hurting me, especially with how social media and the entertainment world don't really censor or give you any type of warning about anything about that, and it sucks. My grieving process is very much a mixture. I'd like to think I can do it all on my own, because that's always been my personality. And I've realized that I can't, and that I need help. And I have found an amazing community who are now like my tribe and my village. When I need to, I come back to them. And then other times, when I've got my shit together, I'm okay. Grief is a very funny thing. It's a very unique thing. The general idea of it is pretty much similar, but your story, your method, your way of coping and sorting through it all is completely different. That one's what makes it unique. Some people need other people. Some people need drugs. Some people need closure, which most of the time with the specific type of loss you don't get, and then it becomes very torturous, because then you play games with your head. My grief is a little bit different than some people in the support group that I'm in, because it's a sibling for me. There's people who have lost their children, their best friends, their partner. I didn't choose to have a brother. He was just always there for me. And it's not like I can get another one. So it sucks. And my grief is different than my mother's. My grief is different than my father's. They will never understand how I feel, and I pray I never understand how they feel. My brother was to be a father, too. He had just became a recruiter, and he moved from California back really close to us, so that was super exciting. He had just gotten a house. He had just gotten married. He was with a woman who was in another military branch, and they were expecting their first child, and it was to be a boy. The method of which my brother killed himself was so much and traumatic for his wife that she ended up basically having a miscarriage. So I lost my brother on the 20th, and then a few days later I helped deliver my would-have-been nephew. The last little bit of what my brother would have been was taken too. So I lost my brother, I lost my nephew, and then after my brother was buried, I lost my sister-in-law. She chose to go back to her family, which I understand. Sucks. But it left me alone a little bit because I was trying to have that relationship because I was excited. I was getting a sister. And it just kind of sucked about how all that worked. The first year of grieving was a little weird too for me because it was almost like in denial, because the very first couple weeks after everything happened, I was extremely strong for my parents, for my mom. The whole entire process was pretty brutal, as I would expect for anyone that loses their child. Probably gonna hurt my mom's feelings. I felt forgotten. I've heard in the group so many times from other parents about people saying, well, someone told me I've got another kid. I've got to be strong for the other kid. I didn't necessarily want her to be strong for me, but I felt very much forgotten about, and it sucked because I needed my parents. And I'm thankful I'm as old as I am to be able to do stuff on my own / my own personality, but it still sucks. And I pretended like I was okay, and I wasn't, so shame on me. I get mad at my brother a lot now because so much was robbed from me. Robbed from my son. Because shortly after everything, I have a son now, and he will never get to know who his uncle would have been. And it gets so hard to know that he's missing out on that. Like, I'm okay with what I'm missing out on, but I'm madder than anything knowing that my son doesn't get to know who his uncle is. My brother's birthday was just recently, and I want to say I was okay, and I felt like I was okay, but the people in my life around me knew I wasn't. And that was kind of nice. So my grief goes all different ways, and sometimes I just need those around me to anchor me back. I'm 3 years in to the process of everything. It doesn't get easier, but it gets better, if that makes any sense. It's uniquely different. Sometimes it's a day by day, sometimes it's a minute by minute, sometimes the only thing that keeps me together is my son and wine. Sometimes. I just think sometimes I just wish more than anything I could just hug my brother. tell him that I understand, that I'm here for him, and that I love him. I think what I'm afraid of is forgetting him as I move on with life. I'm scared of what little memories I still have disappearing, because I get so much more flooding in that you can't sometimes pick and choose what stays. I've got a lifetime ahead of me, and he should have been there with it all. I'm just wishing on a star, like a little girl sometimes, that he would still appear in my dreams. I searched every video to try and hear his voice, and it just still baffles me that he's gone. Because he was my first best friend. My wasn't me buddy. Partner in crime. And now I'm solo. And it sucks. You do little things, though, to try and keep them, where someone will ask a question and you can smile and you talk about it, or about him or her or whoever, because the more you do talk about them, they're not forgotten. You don't want it to be, oh, they committed suicide and it's taboo. Yes, that's how my brother chose to leave. But he was so much more than that. He was a Marine. He was an amazing older brother. He had some amazing friends. He did marching band. He was an airsoft goofy. He hated squirrels. And he was a kind-hearted person. So I have to just focus on the happier times and not forget about him to keep him around. I have to sometimes remind myself that that wasn't who my brother always was. It was him at his weakest point, and unfortunately he didn't have someone to bring him back. It's okay not to be okay. You just have to remember that you're loved.